Hi, Sean. This is Vince from Paranormal Conviction. How are you this evening?
Good, Vince. How you doing?
Oh, real good, real good. Listen, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show and contributing. We really do appreciate it, and it's going to be a great show. We spoke briefly, and you told me a couple of things, but I want to let you tell your story. But why don't you start with the one where you were in a park and you saw something that was really scary?
Okay. This was about 20 years ago, more or less. I was in a park somewhere in northern Queens, and me and my friends were going to the park to hang out. It was probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night, and there's like a wooded area to the park with like a trail that led to like a clearing where we would usually hang out, drink beers when we were kids. So we're walking through the park. It was me and two of my friends, and I was in the middle of them. We're going through these trails, and we're about maybe 10 to 15 feet from the entrance to the clearing, and one of my friends is in front of me, and the other friend's behind me. He's lagging behind a little bit, and my friend just goes, "So what the F is that?" And I look up, and on the other side of the clearing, maybe about 50 to 60 feet from us, there were these trees that were kind of like a canopy over the clearing, kind of covered it a little bit, and at the top of one of these trees, maybe 25, 30 feet off the ground, I saw, I didn't get a look at the face or anything, but I saw like a human body, just swinging back and forth. And, the friend that was behind us was like...
In the tree?
In the tree, hanging up in the tree.
He says about how far away? 50 feet?
I'd say, yeah, the clearing wasn't that big. So the entrance to the clearing was maybe about 10 to 15 feet, like I said, and it was on the opposite end of the clearing. So, like I said, it was about 20 years ago. So I'd say anywhere 50, maybe 70 feet. It wasn't, it wasn't that far away. Like, it was very, you could very clearly make it out. There was no mistaking it. And like I said, the trees kind of created like a canopy, so it kind of covered it, but it was letting moonlight in, and there was also ambient street light not too far away, so it wasn't like it was completely black.
Okay, so there was some type of lighting, but it was dark at night. It was nighttime, like.
It was night, yeah. It was the summer though. It was right after I graduated high school. It was I think it was like the middle of June, end of June.
But you said it was like 10, 11, right?
About maybe 10 o'clock at night, I would say, if I had to guess.
So it's probably it's dark by then. Okay, so it's dark, but there's ambient street light. Is the clearing?
It's also close. It's also close to. I'm not going to say what bridge, but one of the bridges in Queens.
Okay.
So the light from the bridge, you could kind of it was close enough to get some of that. So it definitely wasn't like a pitch black scenario, and it wasn't like I saw the shape. But, I didn't see the face, and I kind of saw it just like swinging on it. It was. I actually remember thinking like how the I'd never seen a dead body at that point in my life, and I just remember thinking like how the fuck did they get up there, because the trees were so high, and I remember seeing a lot of branches to climb up, and it was kind of like curved over, so I was like how they get up there. But we looked at it for a second, and we were kind of spooked. We didn't really look at it too long.
So you all saw it?
No, my friend behind me, like I said, he was kind of lagging behind. I think he saw like something, like maybe like he was probably like 10 before. So we saw it and we turned around and like.
So just what? How many up front? Just two?
Two of us up front.
And you both saw it.
So he was about 10 feet from where we were. By the time we turned around behind us, so he was like 10 to 15 feet further back from where we were when we saw it, and we were also running in front of him, so blocking his view. So he said he saw something. He didn't really see what. I can't really be more specific than that. I haven't talked to this kid in probably, if this is 20 years ago, 18 years. Memory's an imperfect instrument, but so I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know what me and my other friend saw. And like I said, it wasn't like a shape or a form or anything like that. It was like clearly.
It was a body. You saw a body.
It was a body.
How was it dressed?
Like regular. I remember like jeans and a t-shirt.
It was male.
Male body.
Sneakers. It did have sneakers.
And it looked like it did. What was that?
It did have sneakers.
Yeah, it did have sneakers or shoes. To be honest, I don't remember the footwear specifically.
Short sleeve shirt.
Short t-shirt and jeans. I remember that.
T-shirt and jeans. Hat. Eye glasses.
No hat. No, kind of long, shaggy hair.
But you saw the face. Were you close enough to see?
I didn't see the face.
Oh, you didn't see the face. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was because also.
But that's pretty detailed. If you're talking about sneakers and jeans and a short sleeve shirt, that's pretty detailed.
Yeah. And I remember, like, it wasn't, I guess because like I said, that it's been so long, I don't remember, like, exactly, wherever the noose was or the rope, in relation to the branch. But
how high was the body?
Swinging, like, back and forth. It was, I do remember this, but very distinctly. It was swinging, like, very irregular, like, like I said, maybe it's like one of those things when you get into a street fight, you feel like you're fighting for 15 minutes, but it's only been like 30 seconds. And like those like moments of like intense, adrenaline kind of seem longer than they are.
Oh, you actually think you saw the body swinging?
So I remember that. I remember saying, so I at the time it felt like we were looking at it for 30 seconds, and maybe if it was 5 seconds, I'd be surprised if it was that long. But I do distinctly remember, like I said, I didn't see the face, but I remember the body swing, like, not like, like hard or anything, but like, I don't know, the breeze or whatever from, the summer night, but it was like, gently swinging. I remember
rocking back and forth.
And it also kind of seemed like as if like the rope or the noose, whatever it was like kind of getting contorted on itself. So it seemed like side to side, and then also like in a half circle. So it was swinging like in a couple different directions. I kind of remember, I didn't see the face, and maybe why. So I remember seeing the back of the head, like it was long, shaggy hair, and maybe like the side of like an ear or something like that. But
so it kind of wasn't facing you directly.
No, it wasn't. But like I said, because it was turning. Remember turning side to side, and then kind of like
yeah. It's like turning, twisting in the wind. How high was the body from the ground? Well, how high was the head or the feet?
Tree, if I had to guess, I would say about 25 to 30 feet.
The body was that high?
Or I'm sorry, the where it was hanging from. Maybe 30 seems high.
Like was the body like 5 feet off the ground, or
no,
like?
it was way higher than that.
Okay.
I do remember thinking like how not at the moment.
How did you get up there?
I remember thinking that like late. Actually, I remember like thinking that for like being kind of weirded out by that, especially after I found out, before I found out what I found out later. Like,
go ahead.
How the fuck
so
did
go
I
ahead.
Get up there?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So that was, it was weird. I mean, like I said,
so what happens? So you see this, you tell your buddy, and you see it, and then what?
We turn around. So like my other friend, like I said, he was kind of lagging behind us, and it was like it's not like a huge like forested area, but it's decent size. So the trail kind of wraps around. So I guess he was like right before the final bend to get into this clearing. Probably about 20 feet from us. So by the time we turned around, he was maybe only like 10 feet behind us, and we started to like, jet backwards, and they were like, let's get the fuck out of here, pardon my French, get the F out of here, and, we make a break for it.
And he's probably like, what?
He's like, what the hell did you see? And then like, I remember later on, like, we got into the car, and my friend that saw it was the one that was driving, and, we all kind of like paused for a second, and we looked at each other like, did we really just fucking see that? And my friend was like, what was it? I saw something moving. What was that? And we're like, it was a body. And
you guys really believed in your hearts that you saw a dead body.
A dead body. And I remember at the time I had just gotten a cell phone, but I didn't have it on me that night for some reason. And my other two friends had beepers. They didn't have cell phones, so it wasn't like, we could call the cops on the spot. And like, I remember me and my friend was like, should we pull over to the payphone? We were talking about that for a little bit. And then I remember we drove away, and then my friend like pulled over again and was just like, what the fuck? Like, was that for real? And then my other friend, so he, we're debating like, should we call the cops or what should we do? And then my friend who didn't see everything, he's like, oh, he called the cops. I mean, we were young kids. It was like summer, we're supposed to like go there, have a couple beers, and go hang out with girls. He's like, oh, we call the cops. We have to wait around for 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. So like, immature, irresponsible.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, forget that. Let's just get out of here.
Kind of a one-track mind,
Yep.
So looking back on that, honestly, until we're like just talking about it now, I never, I haven't really talked, or other than like, having images of the body. I don't remember thinking, this is actually kind of like a helpful exercise, and just rethinking, like, this, like I said, it's 20 years ago, thinking about all these things that I was thinking about after. But again, I had a one-track mind, so we decided, like, waiting, an hour for the cops to come and, fill out questions. It wasn't the best idea for the night. So we went out. I remember going home that night later on and being like, kind of, not like, I'm like I want to say, I wouldn't, not even anything close to traumatized, but just being kind of like, thinking of dwelling on it a little bit. And then the next day or so, too, and then, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it. And, which is weird because, I remember, like, being, like, thinking of, like, dwelling on it a lot for the first couple of days, and then I'm like, well, haven't I heard anything about this, right?
Did you guys make a pact, like, not to tell anybody? Like, when you went home, like, you didn't tell your mom?
I've told many people this, No,
I mean, like, immediately that night, like, did you guys, like, don't tell anybody when you go, like, don't tell your parents, don't tell your brothers and sisters, don't tell Tom and Joe.
That we were going out?
No, that you saw the body, No,
it was nothing like that. One of my friends, his parents were a little more, like, strict. My friend who was driving the car, actually, I think if I remember correctly, it was his mother's car that he was driving, so, like, he was already kind of, like, nervous about that. His parents were, like, strict, so, like, I do remember him saying something like, I can't see my mom, like, she's going to be asking, like, because we were going to go there, have a couple beers and hang out before we went to this girl's house, and,
but so nobody told anybody, as far as you know. You just went home. You didn't tell anybody.
Friends, and one of my friends that the one that didn't, he actually kind of would like, had like joked around with other friends about all these idiots, thought they saw a dead body.
Right.
Barely see anything. So like, but I said like, it wasn't.
Okay, so what happened?
He was trying to joke about it, but I think he saw like the look in our faces, and like they didn't really stick around to investigate it. So.
Right. So what happened? So go ahead.
I'd say about I think that happened on like a Thursday or Friday night. So maybe about a week after seeing the body in my parents' house. It was I don't want to say the name of it. It was like a local Queens. I don't want to say the name of like a local Queens like paper, and it was, those things don't come out like daily, like come out like every, a couple of weeks, whatever. It was the article was from probably like, a couple days before, and it had referenced, like I said, I'm not going to say the name of the park, but in the park where we were at, that someone had hung themselves there. But other than that, like, I remember like looking at the date, and the date of it was like 10 days before
you guys found it.
We saw it, yeah.
So it was saying that the body was found, hung or whatever, but it was found 10 days before you guys saw it, which means they would have taken it down.
Yeah, I want to say, like, honestly, like, I'm usually pretty good with, like, time and dates. It was 10 days at most, like maybe about a week, but it was like well before we had saw there. And the park isn't particularly big. Like, there wouldn't be many places for anything like that to happen. Like, I mean, it would have to be the most random coincidence ever.
Do you remember if the story
someone else killed themselves in that park, and I wouldn't hear about the second suicide? If anything, if a second person had killed themselves there, it would have been a bigger story that two people killed themselves in the same park.
Is that so? Is that what it was? A claim it was suicide?
I
mean, it's got to be, right? Because so high up in the air.
Anything you mentioned about like foul play or anything like that. Either force someone up a tree, like I said,
or carry them up there. Yeah, exactly.
Carrying them up there, which would be even harder. So
gotcha.
And I distinctly remember immediately, or like when I it almost like it took me like a second. I kind of like skimmed over the date, and I'm like, but then I'm like, get up, wait, what? Like, I remember that, when I first read it, and it wasn't like a particularly big, it was like a little blurb, and like I said, like a local paper. It wasn't, the New York Times or anything like that. But like I said, I was reading it, and the first time I read it, like, it took me probably about 3 or 4 seconds to process the date and the difference in the time. And I was like, what the heck? Did I read that right? And I went back, and the second I went back and looked at the date that it happened, I remember like a cold, like rush went through my body, and immediately I had like the hairs on my arms, the back of my neck, like completely vertical, and I had, goose pimple skin.
Yeah.
And like instantly,
Yep.
Very few times it's happened before.
Yeah. Wow. And did you mention it to anybody?
I mentioned it to a couple of friends, and it's funny because a couple of people I mentioned to were they didn't see two of us, like, would lie about seeing a dead body. But once.
Well, how do you feel about it? I mean,
I'm pretty confident in what I saw. I mean.
But how do you feel about it? Like, okay, so you saw this thing. You're positive you saw this, okay? And then you found out if there's any truth to the fact that.
And it'd be one thing if I was high on drugs or something, and I imagined like I wasn't
second guess yourself or something.
We were going to drink a couple beers. We hadn't even we're dead sober.
Right.
And that's if I was by myself and saw that, I would have a hard time questioning the fact that I was.
So what do you think about that? Like, why were you? Why
to see the same exact thing?
Why do you think you saw that? Why do you think you saw that? Like,
I don't know.
Have you seen any other things in your lifetime? Like,
before that, no. I've had I mean, I believe I'm a pretty firm believer in science, but I also believe in like the supernatural, and maybe not supernatural per se, but I think there's a lot of things about this world and this universe that science doesn't explain or hasn't been able to explain yet. They haven't come up with the mathematics.
Oh, for sure.
Dimensions and stuff like that. So,
for sure.
I don't know if that's without getting into theoretical physics, parallel universes. I don't know if it's the energy of that or I also do believe there's energies, and I also read scientific studies that kind of confirm that people can receive and feel energies of places and other people.
Would you say that was the most powerful other reality type of thing that you've ever experienced in your life?
Yes, absolutely. I would. Yeah.
I mean, some people never get anything like that for a lifetime. They experience nothing. Others more often. Everyone's different. The scale fluctuates from extreme to minimal. But you said you would think that, and that's an amazing story, Sean.
And I do believe that. Not to say that I'm in any way, shape, or form like a psychic or a medium or whatever you call it. People that have super high sensitivities to those kind of things. But I do think some people are, whatever their brain is wired, are more left brain, whether you're left brain and left side or right side, or some people are just more emotionally and connected, or
Do you feel you're clairvoyant in any way? Do you predict things?
No, clairvoyant, definitely not, because every stock I've tried to be smart with. It's been the exact opposite. If I was a clairvoyant, just off the thumb on the stocks, I'd be I'd probably be independently wealthy right now. So.
Sure. Gotcha.
But I would like to say in general, outside the paranormal, I've bartended on and off since college. I might not be the best mixologist, but I think one of the areas I do excel in is talking to people and connecting with people. So I would like to think that, I'm on average more emotionally intelligent than the average person. So I don't know if that makes me more susceptible to those kind of energies. Like I said. Well,
you could be an empath, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of things that, but I would think that if you were more sensitive to, other energies, that you would have more experiences.
Yeah, which is weird because it I never forgot about it, but it was one of those things. I don't know if it was a subconscious reaction to it about just not and then I was 18. I wasn't as not that I'm particularly mature for my age, but I wasn't as mature as I am now. I wasn't as worldly. I wasn't as educated. So I don't know if it was a response from my subconscious to just bury it. Like I said, not that I completely just never thought about it, but for how powerful of experience it was, it's still to this I've talked to you about it.
Makes your skin crawl.
I have people I told about it years ago, and I mentioned it here and there. But
did you ever go back to that park again after that?
Not that spot. I've driven through it. That was. I'm trying to think because I had a keg party when I graduated high school. I had a party at my parents' house.
I was wondering if maybe you ever went back through there again. Maybe you didn't feel good about it.
The keg party might have been a week or a few days before this happened. But I definitely never went there ever again to hang out and drink beers by the by the water. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
You know, it's funny. I never even. Honestly, and that's like I said. This is like almost like a therapy session because, like I said, it's curious to me how something like this, how I don't think about it more than I do. And like I said, it's not that I don't ever think about it, but I'm sure people with similar experiences probably think about it.
Yes, they do. I just hadn't.
I'm haunted by it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't. I've had other experiences where, like, I felt energy. It didn't. It wasn't like it was like a foreboding, or other people have experiences where they could feel like, just like get that feeling like me, like my, the hairs didn't really stand up in the back of my neck until I saw the time difference. Like what happened, it was just more like, I don't want to see a dead body right now. It wasn't like anything paranormal in that moment. So maybe that's why.
Do you remember if the paper had a picture of him? Did it have a picture, or was it just a story?
No, it didn't.
So, and
like
it didn't say what he was
like,
wearing at night. Yeah. All right.
It didn't say that. But it said like,
that would have been like, the guy was found with T-shirt and sneakers.
20s, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't.
Wow.
Get a great look at the face,
but it touched you. I mean, I remember when you contacted me and we spoke about it. I could tell that it touched you. So
yeah, it was. And like I said, it's. I guess it's kind of like just like opening old memories, and it's like, and I think that might have been my brain's time. My 18-year-old's, brain that wasn't even fully developed yet. It's a way of like dealing with something like that. Just like, we can't, it's like information overload and just kind of
for sure. Need a reboot.
Because,
let's have a cake party.
About it now, it's like, it's kind of weird. Like I just forgot how weird it is for me, the fact that I don't think about it more than I do.
Right. Well, that's a great story, Sean. That's a really good story. I appreciate the contribution. Yeah, I just want to let you know that you always have an open invite anytime you want to come back. So thanks again so much, Sean. And I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for joining us today. And if you have had a paranormal experience you would like to share, please email paranormalconviction@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.